to another exciting episode of A Legion on Zoom.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Legion on Zoom. Extremely excited and extremely nervous. This is Ches.
Hello, and this is Miguel.
This is Rod.
And today, like I said, I'm extremely nervous because I am in awe. We have a power couple with us.
Yes.
Oh, you.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
A pair of X-Men in and all themselves. I'm kind of starstruck. And we have Justin and Alicia from the Ex-Wife podcast. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey. Thanks for having us.
Oh, God,
yeah.
It is an honor and pleasure.
Yeah, thank you guys for having, for joining us. I think we've mentioned, a few times on the show, we're fans of the stuff that you guys have been doing. And I've been loving interacting with you guys online. As we've said to our listeners out there, follow us at Legion on Zoom on Instagram, and you can follow the Ex-Wife podcast there as well. That's where this hopefully, blooming relationship began online.
Yes.
And we're happy to have you guys here to chill, just talk.
Well, I do want to note that the name of your podcast is a little bit misleading because you'd think that it's like, I don't know. When I hear Ex-Wife podcast, I think about horrible things.
So my mom hates the name. She's flat out told me, why did you have to name it that? I don't like it. Just makes me feel uncomfortable.
But it gives me like a nice thing to say, like when we're doing promotional stuff, I'm always like the Ex-Wife podcast, like X as in X-Men, not former wife.
Yep, which is awesome. And at first, when I heard the title, I thought it was essentially a podcast about like divorce. Like a lawyer was just going over, like former cases with some like different names changed doing case studies and shit like that. I was like, okay.
But like divorced X-Men or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Are there any divorced X-Men?
Oh, good question,
Let's
guys.
let's dive right in. Wait.
Justin, that'll be a question for you.
Wait, before we dive in first, I just want to give you guys a huge thank you for taking on the challenge, or rather, I should actually thank Justin for taking on the challenge and explaining the riddle and enigma that is Cable, even to me.
Thank you. Yeah, that back-to-back episode, we did Cable and Psylocke one after another, and that was just all sorts of headaches of just trying to dive in, and not even the full effect of Cable, but just the intro, like how he came to be.
And I didn't really understand the full, weight of it, of what had happened. But when we were when Justin was prepping for that episode, his computer crashed he lost all of his notes. And he was so upset, and I was like, "It's okay, babe. Like, all the stuff. You're gonna be great." And then when we actually did the episode, I was like, "Now I understand why this was so terrible." And
even just her questions during that episode, like, what happens to Madeline? Like, where does she go? And it's like, we can't go too deep into the interweaving lore. Just one episode.
Yeah, I want to say kudos to you, because I noticed like there were so many times that it's like if you're just gonna open a whole other hour of deep diving conversation and confuse her even more, but stop. And I can't wait for that Madeline episode.
I literally took notes. Dive. Like we paused recording, and I was like, I need to go get a notebook. Like that was real life. I took notes, tried to make a timeline.
Honestly, I feel like I needed to institute note taking earlier on, because that seemed to help. There was no like anger or loss of where we were. Yeah, I'm on board. I got my notes. I can spit it back to you. We're good.
That's how I learned. Write it out. Then it sticks in there.
Yeah, and I think for the fans, I appreciate it also because you check in on Alicia, and then ask her like, so how we doing, where we're at, and I'm like, good, because I'm like, I also need that too. I needed the refresher, and I know this shit too. I'm a big X-Men fan, so I was like, wait, what's going? Oh, yes, okay, right, good. We're on the same page.
And I noticed at the beginning that I had said props to Justin, but also props to Alicia for just having what would be the phrase, mental fortitude to tackle the roller coaster of chronological displacement that is Cable himself, and to be honest, the whole X universe in general. Props to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Someone messaged us the other day And it's just like, Alicia sounds so exhausted sometimes at the end of episodes.
Yeah.
As though she's just reeling from all the things that you've talked about.
Well, I think the thing that people maybe don't realize or don't know is that I literally do not know. Like, it's not, that's not like, oh, an act we put on for the podcast. Like, I literally have no idea what is going to happen until it happens.
And
Like,
I also don't tell her anything.
he doesn't
before,
tell me.
I don't
Like,
tell her anything before we record an episode.
I don't come into the episode even knowing what we're recording.
I
Like,
love that.
Even if it's something that I've read, and I like when we're talking about the Dawn of X stuff now, and I'm reading those. I just have to have my notes. And then once we sit down and literally after I press record, Justin will say, oh, today we're talking about this. And I'm like, okay, let me pull up my notes. So I really don't know. So I have no frame of reference or no, like that's my
no preparation,
real reaction in like, okay, he's telling me this. And I'm honestly, genuinely going, I'm sorry, what?
And to be perfectly honest, you are essentially my spirit animal, because when it comes to hearing any and all things X-Men, even though I am well versed in like the worlds of comics, hearing these two go off, I'm just like, what? Who? Like, why?
Yes, exactly. Why is a big question.
Yeah.
Right. The X-Men might have the most convoluted history in all of comic books, right?
That's an understatement.
So is that like the podcast unravels like all this convoluted backstory? Is that what you guys do?
Yeah, piece by piece. I mean, it's kind of, we've gone at it a few ways. I wanted to bring her in a way that I hadn't been reading for a little while, and I came back with Hoxpox, The House of X Powers of 10, and I was all in. I had been reading a bunch of back issues previously, but then just wanted to confuse and interest her enough that made her want to learn more. So I was like, yeah, let's just go through this. And then now this last season of episodes have been giving her some of that backstory, some of the historical X knowledge to build a foundation.
Yeah, because I love that, because exactly for your run, in your show, you've had, right, you've gone into, I love what you're going into issues, right? Specific issues, and then actually like reading them, and with the amazing sound effects of the flipping of the page that you guys do. and then also, right, and then you guys had a little bit with the Claremont run, and your special guest with the guy who does the Claremont what was it, the research?
Yeah, the Claremont run. I've been a big fan of it. It sounds so odd, but like I've been a big fan of his comics research for a while. He does like micro blogging on Twitter, where he has really legitimately studied Claremont's run of comics to the point where he's a professor. He does lectures on comics and on literature, and he'll do these Twitter threads about specific characters or arcs or spotlighting something. Yeah, it's really interesting. There was one day when I found, it was after I had finished reading Claremont's run. So I read the entire thing over the course of like a year and a half, all the spin-offs and tie-ins and everything. And I posted about it in a Facebook group, and he commented, hey, if you're trying to nerd out even more, check out this Twitter. And I left that browser open for like 3 days and just read his entire Twitter feed. And he was like, whoa, that's intense.
So how long does it take to read all of Claremont's run?
Jesus.
It took, I think it was leisurely too. It wasn't like I was trying to accomplish this in a speedy fashion, but it was a little over a year. Because then we met him a couple times going to New York Comic-Con. And nice. I also I've read his run previously, but not as like a concentrated run. And I'd never read his run with the context of like New Mutants and X Factor and all the miniseries that spin out, like the Wolverine and the Nightcrawler miniseries and Beauty and the Beast, and which is a Beast and Dazzler miniseries, and all the other things that kind of really, because of the way that he approached it, treat it like this one giant narrative that builds over time. Kind of like what Hickman's doing now, where it's like working with other artists and writers to build one big story.
Yeah, that's for sure. There hasn't been a writer until now like Hickman, right? Like from the days of Claremont, that is that world building, and then is just leaving stories that they're not going to finish them in 1 year, and probably Hickman won't be the one finishing them either. And it's just, I can't wait to just see where all that goes. And so it sounds like, so then with Hickman on, that's what got you, Alicia, to be like, all right, let's dive in. Let me put my toes in first. And then
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, well, first it was like, okay, what if I just explain the comics to you and you don't have to read them? Like, you can just look at the pictures and I'll tell you what's happening. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'm down for this. Like, I don't have to do any work. Yes. And I get to know the stories. I'm in. But then
That's awesome.
what happened with Hickman's run with Hoxpox was that I started to get upset that I couldn't know every single detail just by getting an overview of the page. Like Justin would talk about a page and I'd be looking at the art and then trying to secretly read some of the word bubbles and like figure out what's going on. So then I decided to read it on my own. And then I decided to investigate it because that's just like the nature of who I am. I become very obsessed with the world and I want to know like every little Easter egg, every little clue. Does this mean this? How does this connect? So I started making like a crazy timeline and like a board.
I came into this room. This is where we record after working all day. And she's grab the board.
Yeah, I'll get the board.
She's got all these like a murder board, literally like red string trying to connect these dots of where Moira's lives add up. And
Pepe Sylvia.
She's got this frazzled look on her face and she's like, it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't add up.
That's awesome.
Okay, here it is.
That is awesome.
Like Charlie Day and Always Sunny, just
That's who is Pepe Sylvia? That's exactly what I was referring to. For the fans, please go on YouTube and check out that amazing accomplishment. Props to Alicia. Good Lord.
And you're
That
probably
is
still
awesome.
confused even with that board,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, because
It might have
here's the
made things
thing.
worse.
It
Yeah,
did
probably.
because here's the thing,
you
like
read too close and
there's timelines that talk about her different lives and then there's journal entries and the journal entries reference certain things that do not match up with the timeline or the age of her. And like I'm getting very flustered talking about this right now. I
I've created a monster.
I just am
The
like,
passion is appreciated. Go for it.
It doesn't make sense. Like, how does this line up? If this is year whatever and she's only X number of years old, like how is it that year? Like, shouldn't the year of her life match the year on the timeline? Because it's your timeline. So if you're 37, it shouldn't be year 45. Like,
Word.
tell me, Hickman. So that's what happened.
Yeah, or the editor. It's the editor's fault.
Yeah.
right?
So that's what
Hold on.
happened was I got into that. And then I was like, well, now I must know. And then there's, like we do these things called seminal moments. So like Justin will talk about what the major shifting points in the comics are. And
it was when right before Hoxpox was coming out, Marvel released, hey, these are the X-Men seminal moments. These are the big game changers in X-Men history. So, and they were listing House of X and Powers of 10 as the next seminal moment, which I thought was kind of bold marketing.
Right.
But then actually reading it, I was like, okay, no, yeah, this is totally a game changer. This like kind of sets you up to do this new era of thing.
yeah, but so now what will happen is like he'll tell me we'll read the first or we'll go over the first issue, maybe 2 issues of what is a seminal moment, but that's just the start of an entire story arc. And so then I'm like, and now you are basically making me feel like I'm starting a bunch of TV shows and then those TV shows are getting canceled and I never get to know what happens. And he's like, yeah, well, we have the comics. You can read them.
You can read them.
And I'm like, yeah, but it's too much. I can't read it all. So now I just live like constantly checking like everything people post on the internet. I play this game of like, do I want to look at this? Because I haven't read this issue yet. I want to be like cool and be in with the like X crowd and know what's going on. But like also I don't want spoilers. But like I want to read them, but I don't have time because I'm too busy like making 6 different cosplay costumes at once. Like this is just.
If you think about it, it's almost kind of like you've become Cable.
Hopping through time.
Like
Wait,
you need
Oh my God.
Like-
And now I need to make another costume.
exactly. It's like you need to like allow the you that's already read it to catch up to. I'm not gonna know. I'm not doing it.
Don't
with
go-
Barry
don't try,
Allen
don't try.
too.
Wait,
But
Wait,
I like this.
we can just gloss over the cosplay. So are you both cosplayers?
Generally.
Okay.
Hey, all right. So we had a friend that asked, is like, does Justin cosplay? And Alicia was like, if I make him something, I will definitely, we're both actors. I perform and teach improv, and we've done a couple of things where, we get to do character acting. There was this job where we were hired to be pirates on a boat for a wedding, and we just got to mess around as pirates for 2 hours, and it was probably the greatest day of my life.
Yeah. But so Halloween has always been my favorite holiday. Like
Nice.
I think about my Halloween costume like years in advance. And so I work for this company, like part of my day job is I work for a company that does living art. It's called 1031 Productions. So we like make costumes, we do living statues and character performance and all of this stuff. So from working from them, I learned a few things about making costumes. And so I started out like super low key, like, okay, I'm going to be Peggy Carter and I'm going to wear like a pencil skirt and a black, like a leather jacket and a tie. And like, look at me, I'm cosplaying. And then I started making things. Like I made Post-Apocalyptic Summer from Rick and Morty. And I have this, I had a Winifred Sanderson costume that I started making like as a Halloween costume. And then for the last 3 years, it's gotten like progressively more intricate. Legit. And this last October, a friend of mine got married on Halloween. And she asked me if I could get 2 other girls and we could dress up as the Sanderson sisters and perform I Put a Spell on You at her wedding. So
nice.
I like really spent like months and months and months like really working on this costume. And like a couple years ago for Christmas, like Justin got me a sewing machine. And so now I've just like she
went a lot deeper into it than I did.
I just can't stop.
I'll throw on a mask and a couple, I love doing Rick from Rick and Morty. There's a couple of, basically, if I can mouth off as a character for 2 hours, I will be that character for 2 hours. And that's really my requirement.
But me, I'm like, so currently I'm making in the process, like I have an Emma Frost. She's like 98% done. Making a comic Scarlet Witch and an MCU Scarlet Witch, Polaris. And then there's another costume that I'm making that I can't tell you what it is because Michelle Waffle and I may or may not be doing some sort of reveal in the next few weeks.
Oh, damn. That is exciting shit. You are into that, and then that's awesome because like weeb cosplay. I feel like weeb cosplay. Rod is the more proper cosplayer. I feel of the
definitely,
group, yeah. Like I'm, I think more like on Justin's side where I'm like, well, I'll mostly just cosplay whatever I can wear like in the moment. I'm like, oh, I can probably pull this together, some makeup, and I'm done. Whatever's in the house. But Rod goes all the way out to making stuff too, but not as intensely as you. But
I've stopped just short of sewing things. So we have like a local tailor that I'll go up after something that needs to be sewed. For the most part, I try to make things with glue and like bobby pins, whatever I can get.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot.
You've done some awesome stuff though.
A lot of what I do is altering stuff that already exists. Like this costume that I'm making right now with Michelle, like that's the first thing I've made completely from scratch. So I'm in the same boat as you. It's like you just figure it out.
Yeah. Right, if there's no spoilers for what you're doing with Michelle, is there any little tease, anything you can give us and give the fans out there?
Yeah, I can tell you that it's something that is going to correlate with a major event of the summer.
Oh, shit. All right. Okay. I don't even want to say anything now because I'm also thinking now that's going to be a spoiler probably. So I'm just going to keep it like.
Yeah. Just take that little. I said that same like little teaser on the Power of X-Men podcast, and Dayspring said a date or a month, and I was like, you said that, not me. Okay, so if Michelle comes calling, you gave that away, not me.
I'm not saying anything.
And now that you guys had mentioned Dayspring, a quick question had come to mind because it's also the first time I heard it in context was during the Cable Redcon Wrangler episode. Yeah. And essentially I had brought this up to the guys and it was a question that I really had to ask you guys. What exactly are they again? Which geneticist, either the Jackal or Mr. Sinister, do you think made a bigger mess of things in the comics? The Jackal with Ben Reilly, or Sinister with Madeline Pryor?
And then just for the fans out there, because I believe Justin, you're also a fellow big Spider-Man fan, right?
I am actually. As we were talking about making some things, I'm looking at my Spider-Man Peter Parker cosplay mask. Yeah, this is probably
Go for it.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to just do. I do a Spider-Man Peter Parker, and it's got the spider senses going off the side.
Oh,
That's awesome.
we have to see this.
I just feel
The
like
glasses need to be repaired.
yeah. So this is a Hasbro mask that we cut in half.
Oh my God, that's
and then
great.
put the mesh on the eye, and then
That is great.
the glasses, so I can put that on my face, so it sticks on my head.
That's clever.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
That is so clever.
And then I'll wear like I had the last time we went to New York Comic Con, I had like web shooters underneath my shirt and a Spider-Man jersey underneath, as though I was incognito Spider-Man.
If whenever we go to Comic-Con and he wears that, like everybody is always like, "Oh my God, can I take a picture?" And I always feel so sad, so I'm always like, "I made it. I made it though,
I came up with the idea.
but I made it."
You should have
Just
like
have a sign walking behind them and shit. Like they just
Yeah.
points at them.
exactly like or a brand or something. It's kind of like a logo that's is that an Alicia creation?
Yes.
You guys pair up like for the cosplay, like if he's Peter Parker, you're Gwen or Mary or Felicia.
Yeah, I used to dye my hair red for a really long time, so I would be Mary Jane. And when we do like Rick and Summer together.
Yeah, we met Justin Roiland, the
God.
co-creator of Rick and Morty, at a Comic-Con, and I was Rick. We had a friend that was Morty. We had a friend that was Arthricia from the Purge episode, and then we were walking in to meet him, and he's like, "Oh, hey, cool. Oh, wait, what? You two? All of you are one group? This is amazing!" Like he
Oh wow,
lost
that's
his
crazy.
mind. He was like, "Find me later. I want to talk to you guys. This is so cool."
Oh,
And then we got the picture, and then we were like, we made a like reservation or whatever to have him autograph the picture. And he like recognized us from earlier in the day. And I felt so bad for the person who was in front of us, having him sign like 10 things. He literally stopped talking to that person mid signing all his stuff, was still signing his stuff, and started talking to us. And he was like, "Hey, it's you guys. Oh my God." And like started like talking to the person who was helping him, like his assistant or whoever he was assigned to maybe for Comic-Con, and was like, "How do I get a copy of this picture? Like, I need a copy of this picture." And they like got one for him. And it was probably the coolest thing because like he was really excited that especially Hannah and I were like one-off characters that only appear like this one time. So he was like, "Oh, okay, you guys are serious."
Everybody does Rick and Morty, but you guys are.
And then we're
Thanks.
all laughing because literally the kid who was Morty was supposed to be evil Morty, but he forgot his eye patch. So he was literally wearing a yellow t-shirt and
That's it.
jeans. And the four of us are walking through Comic-Con, and literally people were like, "Hey, Morty." And we're like, "Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, are you, like of all of us, you're just going to call out just Morty?"
Yeah. That's it.
I had the blue hair. I had the dribble, the flask in my hand. You don't know what's inside. But to answer your question, I think
All right, bringing it back.
Awesome detour. Awesome
yeah.
detour.
Yeah. I think I got to go with Sinister
Oh my
because
God.
I feel like Sinister Inferno affected the entire Marvel universe. Like Inferno was, it spiraled out, and Madeline wasn't the only thing. Like Sinister's been pulling strings and doing stuff all along. So I feel like he's had more of an overall impact on things.
I would have to agree. Ches posed the question to us in chat earlier today or yesterday, remember? And we were like, save it. Let's not get into it on chat. We got to bring it here. Yeah, exactly. Because I would agree, I think, between the two geneticists making clones like nothing. Jackal, he's made some shitty stuff. But I think with Mr. Sinister, the biggest thing, right, besides creating Maddie, there's also, right, because of Maddie, we have Cable. And that's been like a big staple of the X universe of the Summers family, and just made it much more messier. Like what Jackal didn't make, Peter Parker's life that messy, other than the clone shit, right? Whether are you
It
yourself or
wasn't
not?
that bad.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah. The fans, we had the nightmare, right? We got affected by that.
We got to
most.
figure that out.
None of
Which
this
in a-
means anything to me.
Well, actually, that brings me to another thing I wanted to ask you guys. So then, with you've been doing a deep dive into X-Men, right? Are there any other books that maybe you, Justin, want to try to get her into, or Alicia, have you been like seeing some things that you're like, all right, maybe?
There was someone asked us the other day if we'd ever thought about doing what we do with the ex-wife for another fandom. And I don't feel, except maybe Spider-Man, that was the only one that I was like, maybe I could take a swing at that. But I don't feel like I know another fandom as intensely, as hardcore as X-Men. And I'm sure we might like branch off, but I think Spider-Man could have some potential, especially when they team up or they cross over.
I think for me, if I was going to read any other like comic books, it would be like the Avengers stuff, just because that's what is in the MCU. And so like I'd be able to like be like, haha, you did that wrong or you did that right, like everyone else gets to do.
Yeah.
Or during WandaVision, when I went cuckoo bananas with theories, I would have something to pull from myself instead of relying on everyone else on the internet to give me ideas. But I read a lot of books, like real books.
I read
Take
books
that.
too, guys.
Whoa!
I didn't read it.
We have a literary in the house.
Comic books are real books.
Sorry.
Comic books are real books.
Jesus.
But I like a lot of science fiction novels.
Same.
And
I've heard of those. I think they're okay, right?
Yeah, there's like no pictures, I think, or
And I'm
weirdos,
also
I guess.
into like
Rod does not approve.
no.
No.
Oh
No
my
books.
God, I love books.
I want only pictures. How about that? No words.
I'll take a picture book, please. No, but the thing I like about books is I get to make the pictures in my head,
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
You're like, no.
yeah, that's
Now-
cool and all, but no.
That's all right. It's cute.
Now, there's something that I was wondering specifically.
Yes.
Between the both of you, is there any specific either topic or character that's been extremely difficult to both explain and also understand? Like, what was one that for both of you was like,
Honestly,
kind of like when Rick and Morty like exit like the portal, they're like, oh my God, let's never do that again. Like that.
honestly, Psylocke was
Yeah.
exhausting.
Psylocke.
She thought that Cable was more difficult to get a grasp on for her, but for me to understand how muddied Betsy and Kanan's intertwining story had become over the couple years that it was spread out, that just felt like, and I felt like I needed to reread and break down each of the issues. And
I feel like the thing about Psylocke is there's a lot of nonsense, like that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we were when we were recording that episode and we like got to a certain point where there's a moment where Betsy, there's a vampire or something who sucks like Betsy's soul, and then she like explodes out of her body and like creates her own body. And at that point, I'm pretty sure in the podcast I just said no,
garbage.
like no,
Stop
I
it right now.
do this anymore. And for a really long time, because here's just like a little nugget of backstory. Okay, so I read the first Excalibur of Dawn of X before we talked about Psylocke, and
she had no idea about the body swap,
like,
no idea about like who this person is.
Just trying to read that particular issue, and I was like, okay, why are these two so angsty towards each other? Like, what's going on? Who is this Betsy? What is her problem? And then Justin, then we were literally making dinner one day, and Justin started
angry.
Kind of talking to me about it. You can hear some of it. So I made a little video about it, and it's on our Instagram, where I was just like, don't even talk to me about Psylocke. And so when he was like, well, we can do an episode, I was like, okay. And it's nonsense. That's how I feel. Nonsense. And I think that it's nonsense, that I feel that it's nonsense because it's not a story that, or an arc that was planned out. It was like piecemeal together over time. And so there's a lot of like renegotiating what it was.
Too many cooks.
And that's a thing for me that like, that's something I really like about novelizations is someone writes a story
There you go
outline.
again with books.
There I go again with like those
We get it. You read.
All that snob stuff.
Yep.
Jeez.
You look at me, big snob, sticking my nose up over here.
But you were saying yes. You prefer.
Yeah, just the idea that like someone has to write, or that they ideally are kind of plotting out the overall arc of the story, and then they can figure out how that relates to the earlier parts of the story. Like, if we're going to talk about something that did that horribly or didn't do that at all, like the last Star Wars trilogy, like it infuriated me when I found out that they were just like, we're just going to do it one movie at a time. I'm like, what is that? What?
The fact that there just was no overarching vision for this, and to be in the same company as Marvel, like you had the blueprint. Find a Feige and do this right.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Exactly. And then, or also just like, I don't know, like exactly. There's like literature out there that you can base yourself off of. Like, you know, like you don't just wing it like that completely, people. Come on, man. And I see what you're saying exactly, because that's the issue with comic books, right? Where you'll have a writer and sometimes, you know, I don't even know how it works, right? Because sometimes they're like, do you think they're going to be on there for years, and then all of a sudden they're gone, right? You know, because sales suck, and then so there's no, you don't know when, what, because sometimes they have visions in their mind, right? Because that's what's happening right now with the X-Men Legends books, right? Where some of the writers from back in the day in the X-Men are getting a chance to tie up some of the things they wanted to tie up, right? And which, you know, for Claremont, right, he started too many things without finishing them. So for like, which, you know, Psylocke and all the kinds of things that happened with her. But now at least we have Hickman that's helping to kind of making sure there's one person overseeing the whole thing. And I was loving this. It's like seeing when you guys were reading already Excalibur, and like there's so much backstory there. Like, and good job, Justin, in breaking it down in a way that's, you know, nice and kind of like edible and piecemeal.
He's honestly a fantastic teacher.
Amazing. Yeah, to be perfectly honest, after going through my Intro to Cable 101 course, I honestly feel extremely enlightened.
Who's the older character, Cable or Psylocke?
Ooh.
That's a very good question.
I feel like Cable's more recent, but that's may just be the
Psylocke,
design.
So like Betsy Braddock, the British version was, so who's older, like in publication or
publication?
Yeah, so Betsy was initially introduced in the mid 80s, or actually even earlier she was introduced in Marvel UK. So she was introduced in another side of Marvel with Brian Braddock before they were integrated into like the full Marvel proper. And then Cable wasn't really brought in until I think like 87, 88, when towards the end of New Mutants. Amazing. When he just shows up. Him and Strife show up in the same issue.
Right. And right before that, that's when Nathan was born, right? Because that's the thing that happened first, right? And then kind of Cable came up, and then without any real idea that they're
connected.
Yeah.
Baby Nathan.
Good Lord.
What I loved about those episodes, because I was thinking about that too. I was thinking Cable is the more convoluted one in my mind. I was thinking. And then when I heard those episodes, your Recon Wranglers for Cable and Psylocke, I was like, you're right. Because at least with Cable, I felt that they were able to, either if they planned it or not, they were able to kind of make the story make sense a little bit. But with Psylocke, it was clear, like, all right, let's just do this. We don't like it. Let's change it to that. Oh, you know what? Fuck it. Let's not think about it. Let's just move forward. And that's it. It's like, okay.
And that's like a thing that I now have created a problem for myself, because so I started with what's happening now, and then we get the history, right? And so in my mind, I want it all to connect. So we'll like read something and I'm like, oh, it's because of Krakoa. And Justin's like, Krakoa, that did not exist in this time. And I'm like, but it does in my mind. In my mind, connect. This is because of this. This is a foreshadowing of this, you know? And so like,
I mean, editorial would love for you to read it like that and to see that Krakoa was in the plans all along and it's all been adding to one thing.
So my headcanon is a disaster.
I
Or
got
who
one
knows?
more. I got one more Psylocke Cable question.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who had the better cinematic appearance?
Ooh,
Because we've got them both, and they were both pretty damn cool.
yeah.
Mm.
This,
I
this
liked-
question is for everyone.
I
What do you
liked
guys-
Olivia Munn, but I feel like she wasn't utilized well enough.
Yeah.
I feel like she did a really good job representing visually. It's just her character wasn't explored. I
Right.
feel like Josh Brolin
Yeah.
killed it as Cable.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say
yep,
Cable.
sold. Yep, Cable.
I thoroughly enjoyed how simple they made Cable's backstory.
Yeah.
In Deadpool 2. It's like Time Cop.
well, that's what I said when we were talking about it. I was like, okay, like I think because Deadpool basically did like the kindergarten reading level version of Cable,
Yeah.
and I was like, I have a frame of reference of like where he's coming from, because they just kind of like dumbed it down. It's not so crazy, but it has a similar like theme. So I was like, I get it.
All right. And now,
Psylocke, like she was cool in the movies, but
They didn't explore any of her past, or
no.
she was just pretty. Yeah, she was just visually cool. True
no,
that.
exactly. She was just visually cool, but you know, and it was cool to see her do her like powers. But
Hell yeah.
Cable wasn't. He had his movie, you know, like his whole
Yeah.
thing. It's actually, but with that, I know that both of you, you know, you're obviously into the MCU right now
Yes.
that the rights are back with Marvel, and we hear Ryan Reynolds is still attached as Deadpool, right? And they're planning a new Deadpool movie, supposedly going to be R. Would you guys like to see Cable stay, you know, Josh Brolin stay as Cable within the MCU and explore all that,
Wow.
or somebody new?
I'd be down with that. I feel like, especially, you know, you think of the couple of characters that would be able to pull off something like that. You have Cable, who's hopping through time. You know, maybe they fudge that and he hops through dimensions or whatever. You know, it's same with Magic with from the New Mutants, which
Oh yeah, they need to keep her.
yeah, right. But I feel like that's another person that could somehow find her way into a different reality or through the multiverse.
Here's the thing. You can have him stay as Cable, and then you can have someone else be young Cable
We
and
don't
just
have-
kill him.
Yeah.
You can have him for a little while, and then like guess what? The younger version of yourself is gonna go back in time and kill the older version of themselves who happens to be back in time. See, I know what I'm talking about now.
Or we could just not do Kid Cable too. That's fine.
Oh, sorry, Kid Cable is his name.
I know young Cable, no Kid Cable, yeah.
Oh yeah, and Deadpool can traverse like dimensions, right?
Yeah.
With I mean Deadpool, right? Because he goes to like the
The
real
belt?
world. He goes everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And Deadpool too.
Well, I mean, to be honest, to do like the whole Cable storyline, they could cast like 5 different dudes to play Cable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see when they get to him, right? They still got to get through the X-Men and the origins and all that stuff before they can even think about doing the future.
It'll
Right.
just depend on like what are they going to do with Deadpool, right? If they're going to make a Deadpool 3 connecting it with Ryan Reynolds, you can't just like let go of Cable like that, you know? They
Right.
have to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
what they
that'd
do.
be wild.
And another
Yeah,
thing,
especially-
reason why they got to keep Josh Brolin, because the man needs a job, you know? His run as Thanos is done. He's dead, right? So let's
Yeah.
give the man a bone. Come on. He needs to work.
No, plus like he won't look the same. No one will know.
Exactly.
And now, I caught the fact that you had mentioned that you had gone wild with theories when it came to WandaVision. As you guys might have noticed, our fans out there also might have heard, we too went wild with theories.
Who didn't? Yeah.
We all put a lot of money into the Mephisto camp. It did not pay off. Our investment was totally lost. We all blame Rod, but let's move forward. What do you guys think about the Disney Plus MCU verse thus far?
I love it.
Yeah, I'm into it.
So magical, makes my week better. Like this month is kind of disappointing because Loki was originally supposed to come out this month, and Loki's one of my favorite characters, like my favorite MCU characters. And
Same.
May is my birthday month, so I was like, thank you for this gift,
Same.
Disney Plus. And then they took it away. But I mean, I think it's really
Now it's on
now
Wednesdays.
it's on Wednesdays. It's really
Yeah.
cramping my style. But I think it's really wonderful how they can dive into the characters and give you these action-packed shows, but also give you character backstory. And both shows so far have been like completely different genres of television, and like the production quality and the performances, they're all so fantastic. Like I don't really have complaints, except for there's three things I'll complain about.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
First one
Go for it. Go
is-
in depth. Go for it.
Okay, the first one is Fietro,
Yeah.
because how dare you? Okay, don't play games with me like that.
That was brilliant.
I
Go
agree.
on.
I feel the same. I
Go
feel
on.
the same.
All right,
Alright,
make your
stoking the fire.
argument. Make your
Alright.
argument, and we'll have our counter argument.
Okay, great. I love it. It's just, how could you not know that like you had to know that if you put him there, people are going to go bananas with their ideas. Like you had to know. And then you're going to just be like, yeah, but it means nothing. Ha ha.
Boner
Like,
joke.
no, I still, and Justin like constantly is like, Alicia, no, just let it go. But I'm not letting it go that whether it's my headcanon or it's real life, he is in witness protection. He's Jimmy's witness protection person. He somehow like traveled through dimensions, and that's why nobody knows who he is or universes.
Yeah.
He's in witness protection. His name is not Ralph Boner. Like I just feel like to do something of that caliber as just like a little, haha, it's a little trick. When you know that everybody's like dying for the X-Men to come into the universe, they know that the multiverse of madness is coming. They know there's these things, you know, like you could have put anyone else there, but you chose to
drive the fans crazy, and look, it
yeah.
worked.
And I think because it drove me so literally crazy that I'm just like a little bit like
Bitter.
pissed.
Okay.
I agree with you 100%, Alicia. And I too feel completely disrespected by Feige when it came to that. And I personally blame him. I think that the idea came from him directly. And I mean, think about it. Think about all the time that we spent even talking about that. We're never going to get that time back to have it all wasted on a dude named Ralph Boner for no reason.
Justin,
Yeah.
do you share that bitterness
I agree.
that Alicia
I agree.
shares?
I'm
Chess.
scoring.
Yeah, I felt like it was definitely a letdown. I knew that wasn't. I called it literally when he showed up. They're not doing that. Because to do
so
that,
did Rod too, I think. Right?
to do that, you're gonna say that now he's responsible for making sense of all of the Fox movies. That now
Exactly.
you're gonna have to somehow shoehorn and make that all work out in one time. Like Kevin Feige he doesn't even say that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon. So like there's no way he's gonna say that the X-Men movies are canon.
No pressure.
It's a different, he could just say that they came from a different universe and then it doesn't matter.
But that's why it's great, though. He like misled everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody thought, except for
I
the
don't
hardcore
like
fans.
I don't
me
like
and
being
Justin.
tricked. Except
I'm
our
sick.
friends.
Yeah.
Skeptics.
We smelled that red herring a mile
Yeah.
away.
I'm sick of like the concept of the multiverse becoming that what's the literary term, the Dux Ex Machina or some
Oh,
shit like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
where like just like explain the way the whole thing with just one line. Yeah, like,
Oh,
yeah,
like-
say,
Quantum.
What they
exactly.
do in, with the CW Flash show at the end of every season, they were like, time travel, we changed it. And I was like,
It's like exactly like, for example, like when he first appeared as Fietro, is like, hey, I'm from the multiverse. That's it. Explain.
yeah.
Behind
But
the scenes.
I will say I agree. I think I'm somewhere in between because I ate that up. I'm like, yes, I'm like, this is Evan Peters from the fucking X-Men, movies. And I'll never forget that moment of excitement when I saw him when they opened the doors. Like, oh, that's so dope. I remember I got up and walked around, like I ran around my living room. Like, this is so dope. It was fucking dope. Like,
For sure.
and despite how it ended, I do think, yeah, of
You see
course
what I'm
they
saying,
knew
though? Like-
they knew what they were doing, and that's
But
they
dude, like-
gave us that excitement to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay, that
They
was
made
gripe
you
number
feel that for
one.
nothing.
Yes, that was grape number
All right,
one.
let's jump on
They
to
made
number
you feel
two.
that for nothing.
It's just to
Kevin
stir
Feige's
up
a
the
genius.
controversy.
Okay, number 2, Sharon as the power broker. Okay, my gripe is that how dare you continue to shame the Carter name, because Peggy
agree.
Carter is like
The
Loki and
bomb.
Peggy Carter are like, those are my top 2. And I mean, it's not that I didn't like that they wrote that in the show. I do have a little bit of difficulty believing her character in that role. I don't know, maybe she's a Skrull, who knows? But
Damn.
I just don't
I don't believe her.
it's not
Yeah.
it doesn't feel believable. And then like just as a person
That's it.
who is really a fan of Peggy, like when at the end of the show, when she like, you know, gets her
Right.
pardon and all that jazz, I'm like, yeah, but like, why did you now you have to continue to shame your Aunt Peggy? Would be so
that
disappointed in you.
dirty
Because when-
scroll,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Well,
It's like, no, as soon as she signed the paper, she stopped being the power broker.
Yeah.
I just
Yes,
like
so-
I don't know. I don't know if they thought that it wasn't like from the moment we like got to her big penthouse, and then I was like, okay, something's up with Sharon. And then when she gets after the whole fight with all those
Freight car.
those like
lockers.
storage container things,
Right.
she like gets in that car. I literally was like, and she's the power broker.
Right.
So like I didn't feel a giant sense of reveal at the end when, you know, they were like, you're the power broker. I was like, yeah, we knew. But I also just was like, I don't really I feel meh about this.
And then you're saying you feel mad because of the story wise and the development that they gave her, which was well lack of a development, or it's mostly that you don't believe the actress Emily Van Camp as being this villain power broker, or both.
Kind of a little bit of both.
Damn.
It's more that I don't know how the character of Sharon, like I need to see, and maybe I'll get it in another show or another movie, but I need to see how she went from a person who was willing to like be on the side of Captain America, Steve Rogers, all of these people, to be in cahoots with Nick Fury during Winter Soldier, like all of this stuff. And then
to fight all the corruption of Hydra.
Right. To be completely against Hydra. And then, yes, I understand that when
You got to survive.
when she
Yes.
got, you know, she did what she did. She stole the shield, she stole the wings, and then she was in hiding all of this time. I just don't see her then becoming an evil villain who is basically now on the flip side of everything that she stood for before. And I didn't see that development in her character. And I didn't get a sense of like her being manipulative to the other characters in the show. Like when she's helping them out, it seemed like genuine help. It didn't seem like, you know, when she saw them for the first time, I didn't get a sense of her in the show as like, ooh, I'm being like secretive about what I'm doing and I'm helping you, but I don't really want to help you. I didn't get that air of evil from her. So I just don't believe that character arc got to that place. Like I didn't see enough of her turning evil. I don't know what triggered that change in her other than like just from her saying, oh, well, I had to live off the grid in Madripoor, so I did this. Well, you said, okay, well, I'm just going to sell this art and that's how I'm going to like live this life. Like I would have believed that for Sharon as a character, that she's like an underground art dealer. Fine. That's like a crime, but it's not a terrible crime.
But you know, that's how it starts. And then you're addicted to the power, and then you're dishing out the power, and you're like, hey, I like money, I like power, I got all these people, they're into it. Give me your robots, give me your super soldier serum.
Yep, Animal Squirrel secretly. It won't
Yeah.
be revealed until later.
Someone was saying, what if she's Mystique? Someone was like, oh, what if it's like a deep,
wow.
long game, like, you know.
I was
Damn.
And somebody starts passing around the cocaine and the
Yeah,
art,
yeah.
and like, and then you're the power broker.
I
Like,
could broker this.
this thing escalates just that quickly. And
And I know, but I gotta say, but I agree. Yeah, I agree with that too. But I might be the most, I don't know, like I believe in Feige. I would give
Oh, for
Wow.
sure.
Yeah.
trust him with my life. So I think everything. I think he wants us to think this way because I really do believe what you said with Ralph fucking Boner. That I do believe it's not the last thing we're gonna, because they did leave that whole witness protection thing just completely. Why would they even write that in? Right? Like
Right.
they just left that. I'm like, there's a reason. You know, and with this too, I do think she's gonna be a Skrull. We have a secret invasion show coming. Like, come on now. And I'm sure everybody's like, what? That was a strange about face of the character. Like, okay.
yeah.
I feel like in the same way of plot threads, right? They're leaving themselves open avenues that they could revisit in some way. They're not answering the question, but they're leaving that question open. So you're wondering, you've got your theories, and then they're just gonna mine those theories, and you're like, maybe this, maybe that. Oh, I like that. No credits to y'all, but
Exactly.
Or what if she's still working for Nick Fury somehow? Right?
Damn.
as a scroll.
And I would be glad to get that explanation at some point. And I totally agree. Like, I trust Feige. I think do what you're doing. I love everything that you're doing, but I want the explanation.
But I'm furious about Sharon Carter.
All right.
That's also just like me saying like, shame, Sharon.
All right, hit us with number 3.
Okay. Number 3 is I don't like that they did not change Bucky's title at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it changed from Falcon and the Winter Soldier to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And I feel like both characters got a lot of character development in the 2 shows. And Bucky is constantly talking about how he is no longer the Winter Soldier. He says, like, when I was the Winter Soldier, he's, doing his making amends and doing all of that stuff. And I know a couple times he's referred to as the White Wolf. And like, I don't even necessarily think it needed to change to Captain America and the White Wolf. I just think it could have changed to Captain America and Bucky Barnes or something, like just the idea that he as a character went through all of this stuff to not be the Winter Soldier anymore. And I had said to Justin, like, I think it was the first episode, at the end of the episode when the title comes up and like the Falcon and the Winter and is regular and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier are bold. I was like, those are going to change by the end of this show. Like they're going to do like a and the letters are going to change or something like. And so when it got to the end of the show and it showed it and I was like, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Like I just felt like that was rude.
To Bucky after to not acknowledge all the change. But I will say though, but it's a cool name though. The Winter Soldier, like the White Wolf. Nah, I don't want that name.
He can't be the Winter Soldier. That's like all Soviet, like Hydra, Cold War shit.
Yeah, that's I just and
You gotta get something.
It's like
The Summer Soldier.
Right.
The Fall Soldier.
Yes.
The seasonal soldier.
Seasonal soldier. Just
I like that one.
The fact that they not only did they not change the name, but then like the one thing that was like eating him up the entire show of him having to like make amends with the man whose son he killed.
Yeah.
That conversation, like I would have rather the episode just been a couple minutes longer so I could have got a little bit more out of that conversation. So for me, it was kind of like, I'm watching this last episode. I love this show. It's fantastic. We get to this scene. Oh, that scene was cut short. I think that's a disservice to the character. And then right after that, you didn't change his name. And now I'm angry at you.
They shorted his development. They put a really big emphasis on both of their character developments throughout the show. And towards the end, it just felt like with Bucky's, they were like, oh yeah. And then he fixes this and this, and then he's still the same guy, but he's better. Doesn't kill many people.
He's not the same guy. He doesn't creepy smile anymore.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's a very good point because all they could have done is just extend the last episode by like 20 minutes.
And I'd be in.
You don't even need 20 minutes. You could
I'd
be
be in.
5.
Yeah. And with some efficient writing, they could have done a shit ton for Bucky. Yeah. I agree 100%. I'm not going to lie, though. I did not even notice the title change.
Yeah. When was that? At the very end?
Yeah. I was like, what?
Yo, guys, I'm pretty sure we talked about it when we talked about the episode. Come on, like I'm sure I brought it up. Yeah, it changed the Captain.
I mean, I knew it happened. I just never saw it.
I didn't know it happened.
I don't believe you.
It was there.
Exactly. And now the big question: one or the other, and why? Thus far, which is better?
You're gonna make me choose.
Which is better?
Which is better?
WandaVision or the Falcon and the White Wolf?
Ooh, you called it the right name too.
Well, Captain America and the White Wolf.
Falcon. I know you.
Right.
Damn,
Falcon and the Wolf.
The fucking.
Take your time. Wait, no, I was gonna do the Jeopardy thing, but I don't know if we could get sued for that. Is that like a
Just
thing?
say Jeopardy.
And you guys,
Thank you.
Ches and Miguel, you guys chose the Falcon, the Captain America, and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Captain America and the
Yes.
Winter Soldier.
I chose WandaVision. I thought that one was better. It's because I loved Photon
I don't.
or whatever they're gonna call her.
It's hard. That's a hard pick because I just feel like they're so different. And I felt like I enjoyed Captain America and the Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, whatever you want to call it, Bucky and Sam show,
The Bucky show.
the Sam and Bucky show. I feel like I enjoyed that more episode to episode,
Mm-hmm.
but like the WandaVision had more engagement in terms of like I thought about WandaVision for days later because it was messing with my brain.
So WandaVision
completely
is your
agree.
pick then. So you're
Yeah.
picking WandaVision. You chose, man. You chose.
You just, it's okay. It's okay to
It's
like.
okay. It's okay.
I feel like
Yeah.
you don't want to say it, but you're saying it. I see the
Yeah.
struggle in your eyes.
Yo,
Like,
what's Bucky's like actual name? Like Buchanan or some shit like
yeah,
that?
Yes.
James
It is?
Buchanan.
James
James
Buchanan.
Oh,
Buchanan.
okay.
Barnes. His last
This
And
name.
be
the
Sam and
Bucky.
James.
Sam
and
James.
James show.
All right, I'm gonna pick Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier because I feel like not only was it a really good show, but I really appreciated the cultural things that it touched upon and the way that it wasn't afraid to face like racism head on, and they didn't like kind of tiptoe around it. So I thought that was like a very valuable part of the show and an important part of the show. So that's why I'm going to pick that one because I really, and also maybe because WandaVision made me a little crazy.
A lot
Fair enough.
crazy.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
those are good picks, and I think we're right around the same choices with that. And so but right before we're getting close to wrap up, but now out of the shows that are coming out, which are the ones you're most excited about?
Loki.
That was quick.
I agree.
I love
I agree.
Loki.
I respect that.
There's
Yes.
there's a book about Loki,
There is.
like
Facts.
a
Like-
novel.
like a
About the
book.
MCU Loki or the comic book Loki?
I thought she was talking about like an ancient, actual, like 5,000-year-old tome.
Yeah,
about
word.
God
There are many
Loki.
tales of
Have you
Loki.
heard of Norse mythology? They make books of
Exactly.
that. You know?
That's it.
What? Now you're gonna tell me that there's books about words too?
Yes.
Kids are growing up thinking like Loki's
Bound
Tom
in Ark
Hiddleston.
and shit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No, I don't-
word.
I don't think it's not
It w-
either.
it-
It's just like a novelization of it's like a story of Loki,
Yeah.
but it doesn't directly tie into comics or the MCU.
Okay. I want to pick. I'm most excited about Moon Knight. Easy. I think like it's a Marvel Batman character, and I'm obsessed with Batman. Right. That's like my ex. That's you guys are the ex-wife. I'd be like, Batman's ex-wife or whatever. So I feel like that character is like, Marvel's Bat. Oh, they have like other characters like Daredevil who are also similar. But and who's the actor? Oscar Isaac. He's gonna be
Yeah.
Mark Spector. I don't know. I feel like it's a baby of the Netflix verse of Marvel, which I loved.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely talked about Moon Knight. And come on, the name. It's fucking dope.
That's true. I think I'm most excited about Secret Invasion, just because I feel like that I don't
Yeah.
know anything about it, and that feels like it's got more implications MCU wide.
Yeah.
You know, you got character stories, and I'm into all of them. I love them all, but I feel like I'm seeking out that big world story. What's that Avengers level thing?
The
that's
summer
going on?
movie.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a summer movie show.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. For me, I think I would have to also go with Loki, actually. I think that's the one I'm the most excited about, not just because Tom Hiddleston's fantastic. I just love fucking
Word.
time travel. Like, I feel this show is going to be a mind fuck. Like, it's going to be super confusing. And at the end, we're not going to understand. I don't know. I'm down for that. I'm looking forward to it.
It's funny because I despise time travel, but I also love time travel. Like, I just don't like, it's exactly what we were talking about before. I just don't like when time travel is just used as a reset button.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, I just want to fix something. So we're just going to time travel, change the past, change the future. Okay, it's done. But I I love Loki and his little mischievous self. And Tom Hiddleston, thank you for him, universe.
I've grown to. I was gonna say that I've grown to only appreciate time travel in the Back to the Future movies going forward. Too many people have tried too many things. It's getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand.
Best time travel movie before we wrap.
Mm.
Isn't it easy? It's a no-brainer. Days of Future Past.
I was
It's
gonna
the
say Back to the
best
Future too.
movie.
I love Days of Future Past.
Yeah,
Oh my
me too.
god. I think it's the best of that series.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
that's my favorite of the
Yeah.
X-Men movies. Just to make all this thing kind of make sense, tie it into not a faithful adaptation of the comic, but like a interesting twist. That's my favorite comic story too.
Oh, hold on.
We live in New York City, so and like two of us in
Yeah.
the Bronx.
Yeah,
and the
we
Heights, so
get that all the
we
time.
get those
also,
all
yeah.
the time. It's
Yeah.
all
I live
good.
across the street from a fire station. So
Oh,
You guys
yeah,
are
yeah.
also in the city?
In Providence,
Yeah, right
yeah.
outside. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like we get like full blown block parties in some of our episodes. It's interactive. It's like a 4D experience.
I'm looking forward to the summer because there's an ice cream truck that drives, and I think they just literally drive around our house like 18 times.
We get that
in the
too.
summer.
Yeah.
We get that too.
It's actually a
Is-
fleet of 18 ice cream trucks.
They're all using that one song that's not the song that you know, but it's all the same song between them.
Yeah.
I prefer to think that it's just one eternal ice cream truck with one driver.
In a
And that's
time
all-
loop.
Exactly.
Enchanted ice cream driver.
Exactly. And now for all the fans out there, where can everyone find you guys? Because everyone has to listen to you guys. We want all our friends to listen to you. We want even the people that just find us to also listen to you. Where are you guys?
At a fire station.
Aside from a crime-ridden area.
Yeah.
You can find us all over the internet at the Ex-Wife Podcast. That's THEXWIFE podcast as an X-Men, not former wife, and at theexwifepodcast.com. And you can find our podcast on all your favorite podcast apps.
All the apps.
Yeah. And
We'll add
also,
an echo. We'll add an echo to that.
All of the apps.
and also a quick tip for the fans. I believe on Spotify, which is how I heard you guys, you have to put a dash between the X and the wife to find you guys faster.
Oh, thank
So
you
it's like,
for
yeah,
that.
so it's X dash wife. Yeah. Because then if you put just ex-wife, it gets weird. But yeah.
You learn a lot about people.
Yeah.
And also, I want to add, as you're listening to the ex-wife, I want you to, imbibe on something. It might be the end of the week. You might be trying to relax. So, Miguel, what do you happen to be having this evening?
Exactly. So the ex-wife will be also helping with this today. So for our drink of the week, we got Lagunitas Little Something. It would have been great to
Little
have you
something,
guys
something.
all enjoy this, the little something ale, Lagunitas. We're trying to get
That's
some
one of-
sponsors here.
We're
Hit us
fishing.
up.
We're fishing.
Lagunitas, if you're looking at this right now on Instagram, follow the Ex-Wife Podcast and send them some beers. I'm assuming you guys drink beer, right? Just send them anyway.
Little Something is one of my favorite beers.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I can't drink beer, but
Well, Justin will handle it then.
just
I'll drink
Exactly.
more than
Yeah.
enough for the both of us.
Right on.
Tell them the LoZ sent you. They don't know who you'll be talking about, but if
I'm
you
gonna
say
go to
with
the
enough
liquor store right
confidence-
now. I'm just like, yeah, LOZ send me. These are it's part of the sponsorship. You understand? Don't worry about it.
Exactly. So we definitely encourage all of our fans, please go check out the Ex-Wife Podcast. Fucking awesome info. Extremely awesome stuff. As always, it's a pleasure. It was an honor having you guys here.
this was
Oh my
so
God.
fun.
Tons of fun.
Like, this was amazing. I want to hang out with you guys all the time.
Oh, please listen, man.
Yo, New York
both
City
of you are more than
Comic
welcome.
Con, New York City Comic Con. The three of us
Yeah.
go, and it's supposed to come back this October. So let's do it, guys.
Giant mega cast.
Cool.
We love you guys. Okay, wait till next time. It was an honor. It was a pleasure. As always, we're the Legion. This is Ches.
Yo, this is Miguel.
This is Rod. Peace out.